First, let me tell you something important. You are not weak. You are not bad at English. You are not bad at any language. The problem is not you. The problem is that you were never trained. And I need you to understand what that means. Because right now, somewhere deep inside, you might be carrying shame. You might be thinking, maybe I'm just not good at this. Maybe some people are just natural speakers and I'm not one of them. But that's not true. You know what's true? You were doing exactly what you were taught. You memorized words. You studied grammar. You took tests. You did everything the system told you to do. And then one day, someone put you in front of a camera, or in a meeting, or in a conversation, and your tongue froze. Not because you're weak, but because you were never trained for that moment. Let me ask you something. If someone gave you a gym membership, showed you pictures of muscles, explained the science of protein, but never made you lift a single weight, would you be strong? No. Would that be your fault? No. That's exactly what happened with your language learning. You were given knowledge, but you were never given training. And there's a massive difference between knowing and performing. You can know every word in the dictionary. You can understand every grammar rule. But if your tongue has never repeated a sentence 100 times, if your breath has never learned to control your voice under pressure, if your tongue has never built the muscle memory to move fast and clear, then of course you freeze when it matters. This is not about talent. This is about repetition. This is about training. And today, I'm going to show you how to train your tongue the same way athletes train their bodies. Because speaking is a performance, and every performance requires a performer, and every performer requires training. Let me tell you what no one ever told you. Your tongue is a muscle. Your vocal cords are muscles. Your breath control is a trained skill. Your confidence under pressure is a trained response. None of this happens by accident. None of this happens by reading. None of this happens by understanding. It happens by doing, again and again and again. Think about this. If you want to build a strong body, what do? You go to the gym. You pick up weight. You do 10 reps. Then you rest. Then you do 10 more. Day after day, week after week, you don't just read about biceps, you train them. But somehow, when it comes to language, people think they can read a book, watch a video, understand the theory, and then suddenly speak with confidence. That's like watching a workout video and expecting muscles to grow. It doesn't work that way. So why do we expect it to work with language? Because we were never taught the truth. We were taught that language learning is about information, but it's not. It's about transformation. It's about turning your tongue into a trained instrument that obeys you under pressure. And that requires a system. Let me take you inside that system. But before I do, I want you to shift something in your mind. Stop seeing yourself as a language learner. Start seeing yourself as a speaker in training. Not someone trying to get better, but someone building a skill the same way an athlete builds strength. When you see it that way, everything changes. You stop feeling shame when you make mistakes, because athletes miss shots, fighters lose rounds, runners fall. But they don't quit. They train harder. You stop comparing yourself to native speakers, because you don't compare a boxer in training to a world champion. You compare yourself to who you were last week. You stop waiting to feel ready, because no athlete feels ready before their first competition. They just train until their body knows what to do, even when their mind is nervous. This is the identity shift, and it changes everything. Now let me show you how the training works. There are 3 levels, and just like physical training, you don't skip levels. You don't jump to advanced before you master the basics. You build from the ground up. Level 1 is control training. This is where most people fail, because they skip it. They want to sound fluent immediately. They want to speak fast, sound native, impress people.
but they have no control. Control means this. Can you say one sentence slowly, clearly, with full breath support, and record yourself without cringing? If the answer is no, this is where you start. Pick one sentence, any sentence, something simple. I believe in my ability to grow. Say it out loud, slowly. Feel every word. Record it. Listen back. Did you rush? Did you mumble? Did your voice shake? Do it again, slower this time, clearer, with more breath, like you're speaking to a person you respect. Do it 10 times, 20 times, until that one sentence feels smooth, until your tongue remembers the shape of every word, until you can say it with your eyes closed and it sounds clean. That's control training. And I know what you're thinking. This sounds boring. This sounds too slow. But let me tell you something. Lionel Messi didn't become the greatest footballer by playing full matches every day when he was young. He spent hours doing the same dribble, the same turn, the same touch, over and over and over. Repetition is not boring. Repetition is how you build excellence. Your tongue is no different. If you can't control one sentence, you can't control a conversation. So you start here. You build the foundation. And once you have control, you move to level 2. Level 2 is strength training. Now you're not just speaking clearly, you're speaking with power, with difficulty, with challenge. This is where you pick sentences that are hard, sentences with words that twist your tongue, sentences that are long and complex, sentences that make you breathe differently. And you repeat them, not once, not twice, 50 times, 100 times. You know who understands this? Elon Musk. People think he's just smart, but if you watch his early interviews versus now, you see something else. You see someone who trained his communication through iteration. He didn't just think about rockets, he explained rockets over and over, to investors, to engineers, to the public. And every time he explained it, his tongue got stronger, his clarity got sharper, his confidence got deeper. That's what strength training does. It makes your tongue ready for the hard stuff. You practice tongue twisters. You practice long explanations. You practice speaking while walking, while tired, while distracted. Because in real life, you won't always have perfect conditions. You train your tongue to perform even when everything else is hard. And here's the secret most people miss. The harder the training, the easier the performance. If you can clearly say a 2-minute explanation of a complex topic 50 times in your room, then a 30-second introduction in a meeting feels easy. Your tongue has already done harder work, so the real moment feels light. That's the power of strength training. And once your tongue is strong, you move to level 3. Level 3 is pressure training. This is where you put yourself in situations that make your heart beat faster. Not because you want to suffer, but because you want your tongue to learn how to perform when it matters. You turn on a camera and speak. You join a small group and contribute. You record voice messages instead of typing. You take small risks in safe environments.
Why? Because your tongue needs to know what pressure feels like. Your breath needs to learn how to stay steady when your heart is racing. Your mind needs to trust that your mouth will work even when you're nervous. David Goggins talks about this all the time. He says you have to do the things that scare you. Not once, repeatedly, until your mind realizes that the fear is just a feeling and your body can perform anyway. That's pressure training. And here's what happens. The first time you speak on camera, you freeze. Your mind goes blank. Your tongue feels heavy, but you do it anyway. The second time, it's still hard, but less hard. The 10th time, you start to breathe normally. The 50th time, you forget the camera is even there. That's not magic. That's training. Your nervous system is learning that this pressure is safe. Your tongue is learning that it can move even when your heart is pounding. Your confidence is building, not from motivation, but from evidence. You've done this before. You can do it again. And that evidence is everything. Let me tell you what else happens when you train like this.
You stop needing permission. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You stop thinking, "I'll speak when I'm ready," because you realize something powerful. You're already ready. Your tongue just needs more reps. That's it. Not more courses, not more apps, not more theory. More reps. Gary Vaynerchuk didn't become one of the greatest communicators by studying communication theory. He made thousands of videos, thousands of posts, thousands of talks. He trained his tongue by using it every single day, in every possible situation, and every rep made him sharper. The same is true for you. Every time you speak out loud, you're doing a rep. Every time you record yourself, you're doing a rep. Every time you push through the nervousness and say the thing anyway, you're doing a rep. And reps build performers. Now let me show you something you see every single day but never noticed. You go to the gym and you do 10 push-ups. Then tomorrow, you do 10 more. Then the next day, 10 more. You don't expect to be strong after one session. You know it takes time. You know it takes consistency. You know it takes repetition. And you accept that. But with language, you expect to be confident after one conversation. You expect to be fluent after 1 month. You expect your tongue to perform without ever training it. And when it doesn't, you blame yourself. But it's not your fault. You were just doing what you were taught. You were taught that language is about knowing, but it's not. It's about doing. You were taught that fluency comes from understanding, but it doesn't. It comes from repetition. You were taught that confidence is something you feel, but it's not. It's something you build. And you build it the same way you build anything else worth having, through training. Let me ask you this. If you trained your tongue every day for the next 90 days, if you did control training, strength training, and pressure training, if you recorded yourself, repeated hard sentences, and spoke on camera even when it felt uncomfortable, where would you be? You'd be a different person. Not because you learned more words, but because your tongue would be trained, your breath would be controlled, your confidence would be earned. And that version of you, that version doesn't freeze. That version doesn't panic. That version performs. Because that version has done the reps. Now I want to talk about energy, because this is where most people lose. They start strong. They do the work for a few days, maybe a week, and then they stop. Why? Because they're running on motivation, and motivation fades. But energy multiplies. Here's what I mean. But if you keep going, something shifts. Your body starts to adapt. You start to feel stronger. You start to feel energy you didn't have before. The same thing happens with your tongue. The first few days of speaking out loud feel awkward. You feel exposed. You feel stupid. But if you keep going, something shifts. Your tongue starts to move faster. Your thoughts start to come easier. Your confidence starts to grow. And that growth creates energy. That energy makes you want to do more reps. Those reps create more growth. That growth creates more energy. It's a cycle. And the longer you stay in that cycle, the stronger you become. Mr. Beast didn't build the biggest YouTube channel by making one good video. He made 100 bad ones first, then 100 average ones, then 100 good ones. And every single video trained him. Trained his storytelling, trained his pacing, trained his confidence on camera. He didn't wait to feel ready. He just kept doing reps. And every rep made him better. That's the energy multiplication principle. The more you do, the more you can do. The more you speak, the easier speaking becomes. The more you train, the stronger your tongue gets. And eventually you reach a point where speaking isn't scary anymore. It's just something you do. Like walking, like breathing, like anything else your body has trained to do automatically. That's the goal. Not perfection, not fluency, not sounding like someone else. The goal is training your tongue until it obeys you, until it performs when you need it to, until you can walk into any room, any conversation, any situation, and trust that your mouth will work. And you get there the same way you get anywhere worth going. One rep at a time. Let me bring this back to where we started. You are not weak. You are not bad at this. You were just never trained. But now you know the truth. Your tongue is a muscle, and muscles grow through training. Your confidence is a skill, and skills grow through repetition. Your voice is a tool, and tools get sharper with use. So stop waiting, stop doubting, stop thinking you're the problem. You're not the problem. You're the solution. You're the one who decides to train. You're the one who does the reps. You're the one who builds the strength. And when you do that, when you commit to training your tongue the same way you'd train your body, everything changes. You stop being the person who freezes in conversations. You become the person who speaks with control. You stop being the person who avoids opportunities because of language fear. You become the person who takes them. You stop being the person who wishes they were confident. You become the person who earned it. And that version of you is not far away. That version is just reps away. So here's what I want you to do. Right now, today. Pick one sentence. Say it out loud, record it, listen back. Do it again and again and again. Not because it's exciting, but because it's training. And training builds performers. You are not weak. You are in training. And every single rep you do is proof that you're becoming the speaker you were always meant to be. Train your tongue like you train your body, and watch what